I'm sure you're aware that the job market right now is pretty shit, especially for designers. If I'm sending out 500 applications and only getting back one response or only getting back 10, like, what's the point? What am I supposed to do? Does that mean you shouldn't still send out applications for job openings? I don't think so. And in this video, I'd walk you through one of the ways I try to stand out um, in a market that is not necessarily favorable to designers. Obviously, there's a bunch of other ways that you could go about standing out in your application. But in this video, I'm focusing mainly on how I put together a video case study presentation for a job application. So, yeah, hopefully it helps. And let's get into it. Hi, my name is Daniel. I'm a product designer based in Accra, Ghana. Today, I'll be walking you through my process and my thinking while I was designing the discovery section of the Gumroad mobile app. But before we get into that, I'd like to give a few quick facts about myself. So I have 6 years worth of experience working across design and development, from product design to brand design, graphic design, 3D design, animation, and full stack web development. I've had the opportunity to work with startups and larger companies to help them go to market or scale their existing products. That could be in form of a redesign, designing the product from start to finish, and in some cases helping them build that product out and creating marketing collaterals. Some projects that I've worked on include building out a sales demo package for Lumini to help them showcase how their AI tool can fit into different businesses and help them automate repetitive tasks. Test Ride, which was a gym app I designed to help experienced gym enthusiasts easily create workout routines and track those routines. I also built the Z Experience, which was a Chrome extension and a web app that allows readers get past annoying paywalls on various news sites. That's enough about me. Let's get into the designs. So first thing I did was to watch the public board meeting to get some context on the different features Gumroad might be looking to roll out. And the main thing I was doing at this stage was just paying attention and jotting down some notes on things that I felt like would help me make an informed decision as I move forward. I decided to work on the mobile discovery feature.
All of these things will work really cleanly together. They'll all show up in mobile app discovery, and they'll all work really nicely with all of our email marketing features.
Because I felt it would be a good way to showcase my ability to create end-to-end designs, taking a feature from 0 to 1, while sticking within a somewhat tricky design language like Gumroad. The goal was to make Gumroad top of mind for new and existing users who want to discover and buy digital assets online. So I added on a secondary goal, which was another feature from the public board meeting, and that was introducing a tipping system to allow users tip or support their favorite creators. So there are a few features I thought about that I felt could help achieve this goal. Firstly, a feed to allow users easily discover products, services, memberships, and any other thing that Gumroad might have to offer. Next, a continuous cart across mobile and web, which I think was brought up on the public board meeting. Next was having a profile section in-app to allow people easily see the products that they've bought, access their wish lists, view analytics if they sell on Gumroad, and also allow them to access notifications from creators they might have subscribed to or have purchased from before. Some considerations I had to think about included who the initial target group would be. Since this is somewhat a new feature that we are introducing on mobile, I was thinking, are we focusing on existing users and trying to get those to download the app, or are we trying to get new users onto the platform through the mobile app? And I just decided to go with both because I felt new users could benefit and existing users could also benefit. I also had to keep in mind that whilst working on the mobile experience and trying to stick with the design language, certain things that worked on web might not work on mobile. Things like hover states and some other subtle interactions on the web. So I had to keep it top of mind that I needed to find a way to bring some delight back into the experience while still keeping things simple. After scoping everything out, I decided to work on 3 main features, which included a feed for discovering new products, creators, and services. A way to search and filter the information you want to view. And finally, a tipping system to allow users to support their favorite creators or creators that they made a purchase from. A few tools and resources I used throughout the project included my notepad, which I used to just jot down some initial ideas and some sketches. Notion, where I refined these initial ideas, and my iPad, specifically the mockup app, which I just used to refine some of my sketches a bit further before going into a higher fidelity. Figma to create the designs and prototype the ideas and just generally gather all my inspiration and all of that. And my phone, which I used to take screenshots from the App Store, which was one of my reference points. Well, the next stage was putting together my references and assets that I felt I would use in the design phase. I went onto the mobile app and just looked around to see what Gumroad currently had. And then I did same on the web app to see what features I could port onto the mobile app and also see how the content is structured and if that could also be translated to the mobile app. I decided to search Mobin and I found this event platform that had a couple of interesting ways that I felt Gumroad could emulate to make discovery a lot more usable for users. After taking a few screenshots from Mobin, I decided to think a little bit more personally and think about apps that I might have used that had like a cool discovery feature. In terms of, I could easily just look around and find stuff. And the first thing that came to mind was the App Store, which I felt like had a good experience in terms of the kinds of recommendations that they made and how they made those recommendations. So I took a couple of screenshots from the App Store also, and those two, along with the existing mobile app and web screenshots, served as my reference point. I did a little bit hunting to find the Gumroad font. Luckily, I found it. Hopefully, it's the correct one. Then I went onto the website again to use CSS Peeper to just download some of the assets in SVG form. So I had like high quality graphics to use in the designs. At this stage, I was just trying to explore a couple of layouts as quickly as possible, but also sketch out the content that I feel each page would need to display. So after sketching, finally I got into Figma to start designing. And this phase was, a lot, because I had to somewhat adjust and adapt to how the design language of Gumroad would work. I don't normally work with a lot of lines, to make sure that my designs actually fit in is something I had to adjust to. My initial version honestly sucked. I was just trying to bring what was on the web to mobile as simply as possible without really much thought as to how to make the mobile experience different in some way from the web. After my first failed attempt, I switched on to another iteration where I decided to make one change, which was changing how the top section of the app is set up. So instead of having the Gumroad logo, the page that you're on, and then the settings cog, I decided to swap that out to just state what page you're currently on and have the user's profile to your right. So this way they could easily tap on their profile to access things like their analytics, which are moved from the nav, stores they follow, purchases that they've made, among a few other things. And I introduced a way to filter the feed by category or the product type. This was another feature that I really had to think about, because from the web app I saw that Gumroad had a whole bunch of categories and subcategories and subcategories. So I needed to find a way to lay this out so that we can bring that experience here. Then the next thing I had to do now was figure out the top section, because the top section is what people will see first. And this led me to explore a whole bunch of card designs, font setup, colors, and layout. So here are a few of the cards that I came up with, and here's the final card that I actually landed on for that top section. The next thing I went on to was the category section. I feel like even though we had a way to filter down the categories from the nav section, just having some of them listed out obviously somewhere on the page would be helpful. So after having the recommendation cards at the top, the next section I brought in was the browse categories, and then I just explored a few layouts for that also. And I continued on exploring different ways that we could set up cards to represent products and services, and just grouping those into different sections, each section being a way we could recommend different types of content or different types of assets to users. Examples like newly added content, top picks, which could be Gumroad curated, popular searches that relate to the user, and popular in certain categories that the user might like based on their purchases or based on products that they might have viewed. After finalizing the structure and layout for the main Discover feed, I moved on to an individual product page. So what would they actually look like when you tap on any of these products? I noticed on the web app that it catered for products with short descriptions, but was also flexible enough to work for products that required extensive descriptions. And I needed to make that also work in the mobile app without being overwhelming. I explored a few ways of structuring that information and just laying everything out, like the description, the ratings, the frequently asked questions. And I added in a section to also make it easy to discover new products. All of these extra sections at the end of the product page are meant to make it easy for people to find products similar to the one that they are looking at that they might like. Once I figured out how I was going to lay out the information in relation to like describing the product in certain context and letting people know if they want to buy this or not, the next thing was to actually set up adding to cart. And the reason why I added this section was I needed a place to fit in the tipper creator experience. And I did a few explorations, tried out a bottom sheet, tried out a modal, but after exploring a bit, I landed on fitting that add to cart into the actual page design. Next thing I did was to figure out how to allow people to save to a wish list, because the end goal for the various features that we are introducing for Discovery should either lead to a purchase or saving to a wish list. So I felt like this was also important to add into the flow. So I did a couple of explorations for how saving to a wish list could work. And then I finished off my explorations by setting up the search flow. By this point, it was a lot easier to do because I'd created enough components and enough early design that I could just put together a few screens that could work for the search. The goal here was to make it as simple as possible for users to search and filter results. After putting together the screens, I thought through a few ways we could measure success and know that we're actually in the right direction. And the main objective that I felt we could try to aim for is to increase the number of purchases that are being made via the mobile app. A few things that we could track to know if this is happening is: 1, the number of purchases being made; 2, the number of times people are saving to their wish list from recommendations being made on the Discover feed; 3, the conversion rate of the wish list. So when people add recommendations to their wish list, what percentage of the items added to their wish list end up getting purchased? Since this took only a couple of days to work on, I felt like there will be some areas of improvement and some features that need to be tested. Some areas that need more work include the profile page to showcase what analytics would look like there, what notifications would look like there, and how the wish list would also be displayed on that profile page. The other bit is the cart page, which I felt would also need to highlight the tipping aspect of things, like showcasing what an item will look like in your cart when it has a tip attached to it. That's it for me and my designs. Thanks for watching.